Hello, hello. Well, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, the organization, for the invitation. Yeah, as Daniel said, I'm Saul. I'm coming from Barcelona, from Nautilus Take Labs. We are a startup or a company that we are developing outstanding products. We like to bring to the market new products. Always, I mean, almost mandatorily to have like a glimpse of high technology on it. And yeah, very recently we are focused also on the metaverse. We are doing our first steps, and that's why I'm super delighted to be here today with this amazing panel that I'm about to introduce. Because there are probably some screens ahead of us in terms of what are the real use cases that can be applied into the corporate world. So I'm going to read because I don't want to forget anything, but we have here today with us Peter. He's the founder of Imascono, a creative technology studio specialized in extended reality in the metaverse. He's been doing a lot of projects with leading companies such as Telefonica, Disney, Coca-Cola, or Siemens. And nowadays, they're focusing on moving companies to the metaverse with more than 120 projects since early 2020. So give a round of applause to him. Then we have Ivan. Ivan Moreno has been developing his professional career in innovation and technologies. Currently, he's working at BBVA and is aimed at discovering and defining new strategic capabilities for the bank. And they are recently talking aspects such as identity, crypto, assets, new communication channels, and obviously the metaverse. Give a round of applause, please. Thank you. Then we have Álvaro Burcaib. He's partner at Cuatro Casas, specialist in intellectual and industrial property, advertising, and unfair competition, with a focus on new technologies and technology transfer. Thank you. Come to the stage. Give a round of applause, please. And finally, we have Clara Pombo, that she's from Clark Modet. She's expert in IP strategy, technology, and law. She's been named top 300 global IP strategies by IAM, and she's co-founder of MIT Enterprise Forum Spain. Well, give her the final round of applause. And yeah, I mean, with all the introductions done, I'd like to open fire. I would probably start asking Álvaro about like typical common question, and maybe it's a bit broad, but I'd like to open the debate with this. And it's basically, what are the challenges and opportunities that big corporations may find in the decentralized environments such as the metaverse?
Thank you, Saul, and thank you, Southside, for having me. You're taking a risk by asking a lawyer first about challenges in the metaverse. We have a reputation about finding challenges everywhere. But I will just stick to maybe one, and maybe devote 1 minute to talk about one opportunity that I see on metaverses. So from a legal perspective, one challenge that I see across the board on metaverses is that people have said that maybe because they have no boundaries, they're not stick or attached to a certain country, they should have their own legal system of jurisdiction to deal with things that happen on the metaverse, but that's blatantly not possible from a legal perspective. But still, it's a very interesting approach because metaverses are run by private companies. And because of that, they can have policies, just like platforms have policies today. And those policies, kind of clash with legal systems depending on the country they're applied. And this is a very interesting, well, it's a challenge and opportunity from a legal perspective. What are the legal rules that would apply to the metaverse? Are those from the policies for the companies that run the metaverses, or are those from the countries where the metaverse is used and where the users are? Just the question lived there. And a big opportunity I see is, maybe because I'm very into it, is digital identities. To me, metaverses are, just the end goal of how digital identities have been evolving in the last years. Everyone has a Facebook account, but if you build on top of that, then the avatars are like an alter ego, an electronic alter ego of yourself. They represent you on a metaverse. And one legal challenge, which is a big opportunity, is that those digital identities have solid legal grounds. You interact in the metaverse with solid legally digital identities. And that, if you combine existing technologies with developing DLTs, blockchain technologies, you come to a very good solution, which is self-sovereign identity. I'm a big fan of self-sovereign identities, and hear me out, this is going to be the best, the great big thing on the legal world in the coming years.
Thank you. I'll take note of that. Yeah, I would like to take chance also to, elaborate a bit further and asking Clara, because she's an expert on IP management. What are the main challenges and opportunities that you see when it comes with IP management in the metaverse?
Yes, thank you. That's such a great question. In fact, there's a huge wealth of opportunities actually for IP owners to develop their assets in the metaverse. On the first hand, we have the potential of all these new technologies, augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, that are going to need huge technological development to increase the possibility of the devices. There's going to be also the challenge of the blockchain development platforms, and you're going to need all these, well, first of all, to develop this IP and to register this IP. You're going to have as well new brands being created in the metaverse that will need to be as well protected. And you're going to have a lot of, basically a lot of inventions and innovations available specifically for the metaverse. What are the challenges on the other hand? Well, these new IP assets might be, in fact, there are a number of interesting cases now with Nike and with Hermes, where they might be infringing already existing IP rights. And there is the question of how to identify those infringers in the different metaverses, and also how to provide IP owners the possibilities to have in this observatory of what is going on with the brands on the metaverse. So there'll be new brands coexisting with existing brands, and you might have also a new patent that is infringing an already existing patent. So there's going to be, for us IP lawyers, quite a lot of interesting opportunities. And for brands, they need to be very aware that their brands need to be adapted and extended in order to be protected in the metaverse. For instance, by adding the class 9 for digital items, or the class 35, or a number of just actually quite a simple audit of your portfolio, and then a protection specifically for the metaverse to avoid some of the interesting issues that we're going to be having.
So you are mentioning kind of having a centralized observatory, somehow taking care of the different metaverses in a decentralized way. Okay, makes total sense. Yeah, thank you. One of the hot topics, and I've been always talking about with some colleagues when it comes to metaverse, is that actually there's an open race. Everybody's going into the metaverse. Everybody's developing something or trying to develop something in the metaverse, and there's people talking about one of the main problems they identified already is that has to do with the interoperability issues that they identify. So this means, I don't know, having your own digital asset or identity in one metaverse. How do you go to another metaverse using the same digital identity or bringing the same digital asset? I think Peter has been dealing with this, and maybe he can give us some light on this.
Thank you. I think the main challenge of the metaverse phenomenon as the new generation of the internet is definitely interoperability. How all of these amazing 3D virtual worlds in video games from Roblox to Fortnite or Decentraland are going to be connected thanks to Web3 and their infrastructure and ecosystem based on blockchain, digital identity or digital economy. On the other hand, another big challenge is to introduce this type of experience not only to young people and video games. And I think that it's very interesting that companies like Microsoft with Mesh or Meta with the Horizon War Rooms are introducing this type of experience with professional applications. Opportunities for corporations, there are so many possibilities. In fact, since we started developing 3D virtual worlds in early 2020, we have been working with all types of companies, from pharma, veterinary industry, public administration. I really think the future of the metaverse is amazing, and everything is to be done. And for example, if we analyze the market, big tech like Microsoft are doing big investment. For example, Microsoft is going to be acquired Activision Blizzard, one of the most important studio video games in the world. So I think that the future is amazing.
Yeah, obviously, these recent operations about acquiring companies give us a hint on where are we going. Obviously, I mean, I'm not discovering anything if I say that, I mean, Metaverse is the future. We are just getting there, okay? I would like to jump into actual real cases that you on a daily basis may be facing, maybe in your own companies, or maybe just helping other companies to get into the metaverse. So actually, I mean, do you have any actual real case of any particular company working already in metaverse, and can you elaborate on this? I'm probably jump with you, Ivan, in your case in BBVA. I'm aware that you're doing already things. I mean, I think you are showcasing. Well, I'll let you explain better, so I don't mess up everything. So yeah, I mean, if you can, I'm not sure if you can disclosure everything, or you just can go and explain what are your current projects and future projects.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you all of you. Yes, we can't forget that metaverse is something that we are building. All of us are building metaverse. Metaverse have different challenges: identity, interoperability, for profiles, for avatars, but for devices, for ways to think. Companies has to understand that metaverse is a new challenge, is a new ecosystem that could be some kind of devices, mature devices, some kind of companies that has a lot of experience in the ecosystem, but for biggest company, it's a new channel, new channel to sell product, to communicate with customer, to create a new kind of relationship. So we have to see clearly that we can have a lot of errors in our proposals. So, for example, we are trying to feel how people feel going to a virtual branch. We don't know how people feel going to a virtual branch, speaking with his own agent, talking about the money. So we think that could be a first step for go together with the customer, but the reality of this metaverse will be when for example, the finance goes embedded into the experience of the metaverse. So we need more experience. This experience is maybe not created by banks. It has to be created by other kind of companies that knows better the good experience for the customer. So for us, it's very important to be closer to the experience, and the experience has to be created for other kind of companies.
Thank you. And yeah, you talk about a virtual branch. And do you have any projects in pipeline that you can disclose just a bit? Anything that you think is going to be super
Testing.
relevant?
We are testing. We are testing payments, loans, branches, all this kind of thing, because we don't know how the customer are going to have the feeling of it. And we think that it's an ecosystem that at the moment is don't have the maturity to create really business.
Yeah, makes total sense. Thank you, Ivan. I think also, Clara, you've been experiencing this with other big corporations. You have been helping some particular cases. I think you already mentioned one of these big companies. I don't know if you can just give us some light in your particular experience with Metaverse.
Yes, well, I think there's a huge interest right now, and we see a lot of our clients that are asking us, so how to start, which metaverse to choose, how to develop their technology, and so we partner with companies like yourselves to help them achieve that. And one of the key questions they have very often as well when they're technology companies is, how do I protect as well my IP? In the past, you've had trade secrets, you've had copyrights for software, you've had different elements, and how do you protect that confidentiality inside the metaverse? And the other key question is, where? Where shall we start? Do we wait for Meta? And where do we start? And what's the best way to do it? But they see incredible opportunities. They see also the opportunity of training, so using the metaverse and all the technologies available for training their employees, for finding spaces to discuss topics that you didn't before. You have the availability of blockchain as well to have the traceability of, so there are a number of huge opportunities. Some of them are waiting, and some others are directly with the mentality of let's try and let's test what's out there. Let's start with the small pilots. And we're working with, well, fashion brands, entertainment brands, mobility brands. In fact, some big car manufacturers are already also discussing how to own a part of that field and that game also for their avatars, or also with this mix of virtual reality, but also in real life. And what they're worried about very often is, how do I protect my IP? How do I become more open to infringement if I'm in or if I'm not? And so they are discussing, and some of them are going into the field, and some others are still seeing where to start. But you cannot not have a decision about it. Mm-hmm. And we see more and more in the past 6 months. There's been a huge acceleration of, no, it's better to stay, and it's better, and of course with the right framework of protection. And the framework of protection with IP laws, you have international and it's local. So you can have, even in Europe, we have different laws and regulations. So the question is there going to be a common law for everybody who's in the metaverse? And it might be in Malta or in Russia, somewhere else, but the infringement is taking place in one of the countries. So what law do you apply? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Basically, I mean, we were talking about what is going on in the corporate world. We were talking just before this panel with Peter, and he also mentioned that he had some past experiences or recent experiences with other type of corporations that are not actually corporates, but public administration. I don't know if you can give us just a bit of what you did and what the do's and don'ts that you identify when working with public organizations.
Yes, we are developing projects for all type of corporates, but for example, one of our latest works is the digital twin of the Rafa Nadal Academy by Movistar. It's a 3D experience where people can discover the academy through the video game. But I would like to share another successful case for public administration, not for corporate, because there are a lot of possibilities too. Also in 2020, with such a terrible situation as a result of the pandemic, we helped our city, Zaragoza, to transform one of our oldest tradition in a virtual experience. In that way, it was possible to avoid the cancellation of the festivities connectivity, and people around all the world were able to put flowers to the Virgin. The impact was amazing, about 240,000 users, more than 360,000 visitors, and close to 150,000 flowers put to the Virgin. In total, we reach out more than 32 million people. So this project, I think that is one of the most important successful case, because the data and the reach out with the goals with this project, it was amazing and put our city in the focus of all the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. Not only for the figures, but also for the situation that was going on, and you found a solution for people not to miss this such a charming tradition. So
yeah, because it's the most special tradition in our city, and we help people to be happy in this difficult situation with the pandemic.
thank you. Yeah, I don't know if Alvaro wants to jump in on any particular case. Not sure if you have any relevant experience. Otherwise, we can just jump a bit, because I'm not sure if we're going to run out of time. But apart from the metaverse itself, and we've been talking about the metaverse as a whole thing, and we jump a bit about IP infringement and so on. We wanted also to go through a bit about the digital ownership and token economy. So is there any particular difference on this topic, on this realm, other that they already stated at the beginning of this session? I mean, any particular thing that may apply only to digital ownership or token economy, according to your knowledge?
To me, if I may?
Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
You awoke the nerd inside me with that question. How do you explain? Like, very shortly, like 10 plus years ago, I started a research study on property on the virtual worlds. And I thought that was a big thing. And what prompted that investigation was, I don't know if you're aware of a case resolved by the Supreme Court in the Netherlands, where those two gamers were bullying somebody outside, I mean, in the real world, so that guy would drop or give out a specific weapon that was very valuable on a multiplayer game. The Supreme Court, not a first instance court, the Supreme Court said that that was a theft. and if that's a theft, that means that there's property over it, right? And that, opened my eyes on this. If there's property, then I looked back, and how can I say that this is the property of somebody? Because it's it's a virtual item. It was a weapon in this case, but it's a virtual item. And then when you look at the terms and conditions that apply to this virtual world, those are governed by the company that runs the virtual world, just like companies govern the metaverses now, right? And they don't say that you own the virtual assets. They say those are the terms, you play like that, this is just a game, don't invest money on that. But it's valuable. So I thought about the concept of property, and that's very complicated, as I said, because it's governed by private terms, the terms of service of whatever metaverse it is. But this has changed a lot recently. Tokens, typically NFTs, give you your own right to certain virtual item. And if interoperability is right, you can have your NFT on your wallet and then move it from one metaverse to another. And this is a big difference, because on a certain playground, which is the metaverse, you can use your own things, being NFTs or those type of tokens that are owned by you. You have it on the wallet. We talked before about digital identities. Your SSI can have properties being virtual properties. And this is a game changer to me.
Thank you. I don't know if Clara wants to add something, or
maybe I want
from the lawyer
to
perspective.
just a quick add to that case. There was a case of Nike versus StockX, which is a virtual reseller of sneakers, of Nike sneakers, and there was a question of who has the ownership of those NFTs. So they started selling these very expensive Nike sneakers on the digital world, but you could also have them on the real world. And Nike sued and said, well, I want to create my own NFTs. you are not able to do that, and you are infringing my right to have a presence on the metaverse. And they were saying, well, I am actually not owning these digital assets. I'm just reselling them or giving them a second life, basically. That hasn't had a resolution. We're waiting to hear, but I think that would create also a case law for other future topics on ownerships of NFTs. And the other topic was the ownership of artists' works that might be infringing, for instance, in the case of Hermes, might be infringing the rights of brand owners, and they're saying, well, I have my freedom of speech and my freedom of, and I want to put this art, which is actually using an Erkin bag and with a baby fetus, on the metaverse, and you can't do anything about it. And that's all an area, a gray area that needs to be regulated, but a very interesting one. So.
Yes. The metaverse, the most important thing in metaverse are the value, and ownership is a need but tokenization, tokens, NFTs is itself an use case. It's really the focus of the innovation around the metaverse. All the things that we will create with this tokenization is incredible. It's a future.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we are about to run out of time, but I was a particular question maybe to you, Peter, because I mean, as we all said, that this is like a thing that needs to be evolved. There's a lot of room to grow, but I was curious about one particular case that we spoke earlier, that it's about how to commercialize, give these NFTs in a way that people understand additional utility, and you talk about like taking a hybrid approach. And you mentioned something about the Bui Foundation, could be. I mean, I don't know if you can elaborate on this.
Yeah, in my humble opinion, I think that the future is hybrid. For example, at the beginning of this year, we launched this project with Telefónica and Ferran Adrià, a Spanish famous chef from Barcelona. And our project was about a 3D virtual museum where people can buy an NFT limited edition with 2 applications, obviously with this digital ownership, but also with application in the real world, because people that have this NFT can visit the El Bulli Foundation before opening their doors to the public in general. So I think that the use case of the NFTs is hybrid, and I think that this is the main value for all the world, because people can live a physical experience.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to what you just said, because you said that the future is hybrid. I've been taking this as something like in the meantime till we get to a totally digital future. But well, I mean, I guess this is another different debate that we have maybe in another panel. But I'm not sure if there's anything left that you wanted to say, or something that you keep for yourself and I didn't ask you.
I might just add as a question also to the audience and in general. What happens when artificial intelligence creates works of art or creates inventions? Who is the owner there? And we're going to see more and more of these cases, and that's another interesting topic of what happens if you've been inspired by a Picasso, but at the end, or by another living artist, and at the end you're creating something else and you're selling it, very much inspired on something else. And then, of course, the patents and the inventions of artificial intelligence creating something that's very valuable, and who's the owner there? So.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been taking notes mentally because I identified some niche opportunities to build new business models around all of your comments. So
I think that it's important to say that the metaverse doesn't exist and everything is to be done. It's important that metaverse nowadays doesn't exist.
Nice way to conclude this panel. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So, and thank you for the organization.
Thank you.